What's up, fellas? So I got a couple of stories today, maybe one or two I think, about the times that I nearly drowned. Now, nowadays, I can fucking swim. And for the first story I'm going to tell, I literally cannot swim. And this maybe happened 13, 14 years ago. And the second story maybe happened 5 or 6 years ago. And it basically has nothing to do with my swimming ability whatsoever. I could swim just fine. I was a fucking victim of circumstance. But we'll get into the first story here. So, back in the day when I used to live in Ohio, I lived in a little place called MacArthur. And this is, like I said, like 13, 14 years ago. So as the years go on, I like forget more and more about this story. But we lived at the bottom of this hill, and this hill is literally a fucking straight shot up. Like, it's literally like a drop off. It's like one of the most steep hills you could possibly imagine that I lived at the bottom of. But we had some buddies that lived at the very top, and they had an indoor or in-ground pool rather. And it was like one of their birthdays. I can't even remember their name. I could probably make up a name, but I knew that one of their names was Jada, but I want to say it was her brother's birthday party. And, you know, we were there swimming. It was, like, fun shit, like a cookout, like, loads of people there, and they had an in-ground pool. Usually, in an in-ground pool, you have, like, a divider in the water, right? Because as a kid, I couldn't go into the deep end. I couldn't go, like, if there was a diving board, no fucking chance. I'll literally drown. I could literally just only doggy paddle to keep myself afloat. Like, I had no technique. I couldn't do some damn backstroke or, like, some super sophisticated way of swimming. I can literally just keep myself afloat with this shitty technique you see here. So I'm just doing that, just in like maybe like the 4-foot area. So usually past the divider you get to like the 7, 8, 9 foot range, and then on the other side it's more of like a 2 to 6 foot, like it just scales. You guys know. Drop my phone there. But in this particular occasion, I want to say there was a divider. I want to convince myself that I wasn't dumb enough to lift the divider, go under it, and then try to, like, basically drown myself when I know I can't swim. So I want to say that's not what happened, but I'm pretty sure there was a divider. I thought I was hot shit, and I wanted to test my swimming ability. So, dude, my cat is literally darting around in the background. So, you know, I guess I lift the divider and go into the deep end, and I just flail my arms to keep myself afloat for 30 seconds to a minute until I gas out, and, yeah, just slowly sink to the bottom. And, I don't know why I did this, because I had every chance to just, like, try to wiggle my way back. Or, why did I go under the divider and then 4 feet into the deep end? I could have just went under the divider and just stayed, like, 2 or 3 inches away. Or like a foot away where I could just easily just grab it with my arm. I didn't, and I start basically drowning. Like I said, I gas myself out, I sink to the bottom, and literally every second I'm under and then I go up and I'm like, help! Back down, up, help! Help! And no one's fucking helping me. Now looking back, like in my mind, like retrospectively, it feels like it was like 3 minutes that I was under there just screaming help, but it was probably more like 10 to 12 seconds or something like that. And there's a part where I don't have the strength to literally lift my head above surface level. So then I just literally sink to the bottom, and all I can think of to myself is, where the fuck is everybody? Like, no, I know people hear me. The place is packed. There's probably like 30, 40 people here, and like 5 or 6 people in the pool with me. And just like, you know, 30 people fucking around outside of it. So I'm like, where is everybody? Where the hell is everyone? I'm about to drown. So there's a part where I just give up. I'm literally like, no one's going to save me. Like, I'm finished. And then someone eventually saves me. But I'm literally just sinking down to the bottom. Like, yeah, you know, it ends here. I lived a great 7 or 8 years of my life. And it's going to end in this pool because people got better shit to do. I know that sounds awful, but looking back, that's literally how it was. And I remember whenever they pulled me out, I had swallowed so much water that I was burping for like half an hour to like an hour, just like non-stop. Like I said, I wasn't trying to get too technical with that and remember every itty-bitty little detail because, dude, it's been like 14 years. It's like if I was like 40 and I had to remember some shit from when I was 26, I would probably remember it very well. But like when you're 8, I don't know if your brain just doesn't function as well. You don't have much storage up here, but I just forget more and more about shit when I was a kid, and like the more that you know, the years go by. Before the second story here, that probably happened 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know if any of you guys ever went kayaking. Kayaking's some fun shit. If you haven't, you definitely should. Kayaking is very fun. It's a chill time, especially if you go out with your buddies. If you're going with like your family and whatnot, you know, it's whatever. But usually when I go kayaking, I go with my buddy Jody and his dad. And the way this works is, like I said, I didn't grow up kayaking. My buddy Jody did. So he's a lot better kayaker than I am. So what we'll do is he'll ride in the Pelican, is the name of the kayak that he has, and it's just a single person. And his dad and I will do like the tandem, like dual person kayak or whatever. And that's how it's always been. Every time we went kayaking, that's how it's been. So I'm letting you know this because at some point we were kayaking the Elk River. And like I said, it's a lot easier to, you know, handle a kayak and the balance of it when you have someone that's better than you in like the back, basically controlling the entire thing. But there was a part during this where Jody like reached for like a tree branch to move it out the way so it didn't hit his kayak, and he flipped the kayak over, and that shit was fucking hilarious. I was literally laughing in his face, making fun of him. Little did I know karma is a bitch and literally bit me in my ass just moments later. So that shit was hilarious because literally it flipped his entire kayak and got all of his things wet. So when we pull up to shore, maybe like a half a mile or a mile down the stream, we switch kayaks. So I've never been in a singular person kayak. So I hop in the Pelican and I simply just start using the paddle to just weave my way out of there. And there's a part where there's like a broken down tree, and it's like creating this like white water rapid is what I'm thinking. And it's a very small stretch. It only is like very strong water current for a couple feet, maybe like 10 or 20 feet. And that is literally what I hit first. And like I said, it's the exact same shit that happened to me. There's a fuckload of tree branches in my way, so I try to move them. And this is in very fast-paced water. And this is moments after I get into the kayak. They haven't even had time to get back in their kayak yet. So I hit the fucking tree branch because I try to move it out of my way. I flip the kayak, and the water is cold as shit. If you ever just like, let's say you go to like a pool. It's the first time you've been to a pool, or maybe it's like you jump off like a cliff into like a little creek or whatnot. And it is extremely cold water. Like it's like May, where the water is really fucking cold. It literally, if you don't like pace yourself, like walk in the shallow end to the deep end, it will literally zap the breath out of you if you didn't expect it. So when I flipped it, the water was so cold because it was so early in spring or summer, whatever it was, that it zapped all the oxygen I had out of me. So as soon as I hit the water, I was like, and then when I go back up, I just hit the bottom of the kayak, which isn't a big deal. It wasn't like I was going to get stuck under a kayak, but that's basically what happened for half a second. So I move it, and I'm in this fast-paced water, and I cannot breathe, but I know I can't let the kayak fly by. So I grab a tree branch that's connected to this broken down tree. I grab the handle of the kayak, and I'm legitimately fighting for my fucking life. Because not only do I have to keep afloat and keep this kayak from actually running down the stream, I'm getting hit in the face with water. So every time I take a breath, I get hit in the face, and it's basically like being underwater. And they are laughing at me. They thought that I was okay, and I'm like, no, this is fucking serious. And I obviously could not say that. So just like every time like I get like a little second in between me breathing and me getting hit in the face with ice cold water, I'm basically being like, yeah, I'm not fucking around. This is serious. And I remember eventually they saved me out of the water, thank God. But it really sucked because like I literally had no oxygen. As soon as I hit the water, it just fucking thieved the oxygen out of my lungs. And I remember the water current was so strong and it was so close to shore that it took 3 of us to actually pull the kayak out of the water. It was like we sat there and tried for like 10 minutes to actually pull this thing out of the water because the current was so strong in this little localized area. So there it is. I don't know if you guys have any fucking near-death experiences, but if you do, just leave them in the comment section. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. See y'all later.